Hey, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another episode or session of The African Speaks, where we get to be and say who we are and what we're here to do as African people. African Speaks, our spirits are free here. Tonight, as I get ready to start, I want everybody to know if you want to add your questions or comments, please go to the African Speaks Facebook page, the African Speaks Facebook page, or the African Speaks YouTube page. Those comments can be posted on live time. So tonight, as I start, I want to say, you never know why somebody walks in your life. And it may not even be about how you interact. It may be more about who you are in spirit. Because sometimes you cross people who are kindred spirits and remind you of you. And you, because you never actually have an opportunity to dialogue on a level of deep intellect, culture, awareness, because we out here, a lot of times we out here trying to make ends meet. And so when we making ends meet, we come across people in business or associates in business, and you do that business. And so this is a particular brother, when I met him, we were both on the come up, meaning that we were developing our entrepreneurial skills, because the world for him was changing. It was changing from he's a world-renowned writer, a journalist, filmmaker, a gifted writer. He wrote for The Source, the XL magazine, Vibe magazine, Rolling Out, Urban Enterprise magazine, allhiphop.com. My brother Rahiem was killing it killing the game when it came to solid print. But then there became a time where the systems of the world changed and everything became digital. So he had to begin to reinvent who he was and how he was going to approach the life that he lived now that the world is changing. And that's a lot of things that have been happening now with the economic shift in terms of the world, when we find in COVID and everything is digital. Everything that you coming across is digital. Now, not until we were working together on a project. He produces music videos, and I was doing a video for a nightclub that I used to produce for. Ain't that something? You looking at the African Speaking, you like, what? You used to, man, I used to produce one of the hottest clubs in the city. But in that space, you don't know who's conscious and who's not, because that's not an environment where you begin to show who you are and whose you are and what you fight for. Well, this brother, and if you look at the description, and I'll just read the description to you. He put something together called Elementary Genocide. And he had asked, did I know anybody working for the KIP schools? And I was like, sure, yeah, I know some people from KIP. My daughter, we kill the KIP academy. We kill it in terms of kids and then the brains. We supply it with open minds to learn. And our kids thrive because we homeschool them up until they get to KIP, which is at that time started in the 5th grade. Now KIP starts in preschool. Well, he had a conversation with the principal, and I sat there and I was listening, and it blew my mind in reference to the quality of the content that he was producing. And he went on to produce 3 award-winning films, 3 of them, documentaries, 3 of them. And so before he comes on, I want the intro to his work to speak for him. And this is the clip from Elementary Genocide Part 2. And I want y'all to take a look at it. And we're going to start this conversation when I bring my man on.
The Board of Education versus the Board of Incarceration.
First of all, we have to define the word education. In a 1968 speech done by H. Rep. Brown called The Politics of Education, he said that black people in America are not educated, but they are trained.
The worst thing that it did was to destroy our own independent black institutions.
But it also did more harm than good.
You know that integration did not help the black community, but segregation certainly doesn't help the black community, because we deserve to have freedom. The question is, are you intelligent and conscientious enough to know what to do with your freedom?
So even though it brought black children into white schools, it did not bring a representative amount of black teachers into the white public schools.
you don't change the mindset of the teachers, if you don't change the mindset of the system, then Brown versus Board of Education does more harm than good.
I would argue that there's no difference between the black codes of Reconstruction and the educational and legal policy of the United States public schools, as well as the criminal and justice system.
I believe that the Brown versus Board of Education, as well as the civil rights movement's push for racial equality is essential. It's not as if it stopped us from our progress. What stopped us from our progress was our will to continue to fight. Some people got comfortable, and as a result of that comfort, they have not fought.
We sometimes are fooled into mistaking education from indoctrination, not realizing that sometimes when I quote unquote educate you, I'm not really educating you as much as I am assimilating you.
The schools fail on purpose because they have to guarantee that black folk remain the economic and political and social underclass of America. And in order to do that, you have to make sure black children are not given a winning chance in America's public schools.
School to prison pipeline is real. What it is it's a set of circumstances that are consistent across communities where from the time a child enters a school who's of color, his behaviors are criminalized. So it's made to believe that when he's done something, he needs to be suspended or expelled for it, whereas children who are white or Asian could do those very same things and are given alternative punishments.
We do live in a society and in a system that believes that those black and brown kids, particularly poor black and brown kids, just aren't as worthy as those pretty little white kids out in the suburbs. That's the underlying philosophy that leads to this economic disparity, which I don't know if that's ever going to change because the government does not like you. It does not feel any remorse for what it's done to black men and women over the last 400 years. They won't even apologize for slavery. Think about that. They won't even apologize for slavery.
Bringing to the stage, my man. Bringing to the stage. How's it going, Rod? How's it going?
Peace and Black Power family. I want to say that first, and I just want to thank RJ for having me on this broadcast. Everything is great. I am blessed, and I am ready to receive.
Amen. I am ready to receive also, my brother. Permission to speak.
Absolutely.
Now, one, and I want to go back to first and talk about in terms of when we met, because I never knew while we were working, and I don't know if you knew how deep the river flows.
I was trying to get $1. That's what I was trying to do. I was shooting videos. I was freelancing. You know, great minds think alike. You connected and put me in a position where I could, you know, get a couple of dollars in my pocket.
I feel you. And it's funny because after that, I've been always trying to find ways to get you more dollars.
Man, listen, like I said, I'm blessed and ready to receive. I'm here.
Yeah, and in that space, when I pull back and you drop elementary genocide, and I saw it in the Shrine bookstores, as when I first was like, whoa, he finished it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, whoa. I walked into the bookstore and it was like, yeah, and blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? And then to watch you take that across the country, you feel me? To advertise, to talk about it. So you go from trying to get that dollar in, you know, wherever we could get it, to the point where I'm gonna elevate the minds of the people around me and let my spirit bring to me what I deserve in terms of the finances. And what was that journey for you to get to that point where I got to get this done?
Well, it was a long and strenuous journey, as you can imagine, because, you know, I'm not funded by any corporation. I am self-funded. So after doing all the research, after doing the shooting, after doing the editing and traveling to get this thing done, I had to come up with the money to actually put it out. So that right there in itself was a hurdle that I had to overcome. But, you know, we got it done. We put it out, and it was very receptive. And I was able to travel all around the United States, from state to state. I was going to universities. I was going inside the prisons. I was going to public schools, colleges. And it just put me in a position where individuals was actually requesting me to come speak to their organization, to their university. And with that, as they say, the rest is history.
What was the response when you started? Because I know there had to be a moment where I'm giving this information to individuals who never heard of it before. What was that response like when people realized that be, they're building prisons on the failure of fifth grade boys? What was that? Yeah, third, fourth.
Yeah, third and fourth.
What was that experience when people? Because I know when I was sitting there and you was having an interview, it was blowing my mind. You know what I mean? Because in the community that I exist, we make sure that by the time you in the fifth grade, you got like a eighth grade reading level. You going into school. Absolutely. Coming from our community, I know what it feels like to have a 2-year-old on a third grade reading level. So we focus on making sure our children are educated. And so that is something that we push and drive at the Shrines of the Black Madonna. That is one of the cornerstones of who we are, which is developing the next generation. And so when I started hearing this, it was like news to me. I know about privatizing prisons. I knew about privatizing prisons, but it blew my mind. And I sat down and said, man, I got to put forth more effort into educating our youth. Hence, World of Akibaland. I dived in. What was the response on your side that you saw when you started having people educating on this that didn't know about it?
Well, at first, there was a lot of people that thought it was an urban myth. Like, this can't be humanly. But at first, people was realizing that this was something that those that believed that it was an urban myth. And in Barack Obama's State of the Union speech, he talked about the school to prison pipeline. And from there, my phone just rang off the hook. Because one of the individuals, his name is Tracy Syfax, and he's in the documentary as well. He was a champion. He won the Champion of Change Award and was invited to the White House for his social justice activism. And they actually mentioned the film Elementary Genocide on the White House website. So when it reached the President of the United States, and he mentioned it, my phone started ringing off the hook, and then all of a sudden, it's not an urban myth no more. This thing is real.
Wow.
So I knew it was real from the beginning because I did extensive study and research, and what I came up with was mind-blowing. Because when you look at the private prisons that utilizes the third and fourth grade reading levels to determine how many prisons they're going to build in the next 10 to 15 years, right? And you go to these individual private prisons website, they have the stock market ticker on the bottom of their screen, and they have their motto: if we build it, they will come.
What?
But most people don't see that because we don't invest in stocks. We don't follow what's going on with our open enemy and the sinister plan that they have for us, which is mass incarceration and extermination of the black family. But I went down that rabbit hole, and other individuals that are stakeholders in our community went down that rabbit hole too, and they started educating me. Me going on the road, being out in public, I was meeting a lot of individuals that was bringing facts and statistics to me. Because in our first documentary, we focus more on black youth, primarily
Hmm.
boys. And I was informed that the incarceration rate for black females in the last 30 years has increased by 800%. So I
What?
had to go through that research. And that's why I included a lot of that in the second documentary. Because, you know, when you're doing these films, due to time constraint, everything can't
Every
go in there.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that ended up on the editor's floor. It was just so much information, and I'm kind of like debating whether I'm gonna come out with a part four, but I got so much going on. If there's a need for it, I definitely will come out with it.
Wow.
I said I wouldn't, but you know, sometimes you know, history directs us in a direction that we thought we wasn't gonna go in.
And we go there. And that's what I mean about when we met, because it completely seems like there was a spiritual magnetic pull in you to get this done. You know what I'm saying? I'm I'm calling you out of the, I guess, the mainstream, and I don't like calling them mainstream because I like fine tuning my focus, but earthly or worldly view to something more conscious, and I need you to pursue this, and you pursued it like, again, you had a whisper from some ancestors because it was something that you couldn't let go.
Yeah, I kind of became obsessed with it. But my study and research began behind enemy lines when I was in
Mm.
prison. I was in college. I was about to graduate, and for those that know me, I graduated in the top 5% of my class. I graduated 13 days before my release date, and the last final paper that we had to do, we had to write up a proposal for organization that will be nonprofit and that we plan to implement when we get free. Mine was dealing with returning citizens, so I had to do the research and find out why are we being incarcerated at the rate we are.
Mm.
And what I found out is that in New York State, 85% of the prisoners come from 7 different neighborhoods. So I began to look at those neighborhoods and I began to see the disparity in health, the disparity in education, the disparity in unemployment. And that led me to a whole different, you know, way of looking at things. I got insights, things that I didn't even know about. And then when I came home, as you know, I worked in the entertainment industry, covering a lot of hip hop. Um, Dissatisfaction brings about change. I wasn't really too fond of some of the music and some of the things. So I did what I know best, which is to educate my people. And so
Mm.
that's what brought me to doing something that was near and dear to my heart, something that I knew I had a grasp of the subject matter. And lo and behold, you know, elementary genocide was birthed to the world.
Mm. Mm. Beautiful. And then one of the things when people talk to me about some of the things that I do, because I cover graphics, I cover photography, you know that. You know what I mean? Now, I was when I saw you, I wasn't on that level. I said, man, I gotta get a piece of the wisdom of this brother. I said, because the skill set was like phenomenal. So it's like you became, or you know when you call to do something, when you realize that you have every talent you need to actually fulfill
Yeah,
the thought, you know? And
absolutely.
so how did that, was that a realization of yours that there is nothing that's needed to be done in this project that is not birthed in me? Because a lot of times we talk about knowing what God has placed, all the creator has placed all the gifts and all the talents for the purpose that you were created for, and realizing that, wait, I'm the beginning to the end of the whole thing. Has it dawned on you yet that how spiritually influenced you are or connected you are? Is that a part of this?
Well, initially, I have done other films. I have
Mm-hmm.
done a short film, The Sun Will Rise, where I was executive producer of it, and I played an integral part of getting it done. But I had a cinematographer, I had an editor, and that wasn't my skill set. My skill
Mm.
set was writing the script, putting everybody together, and putting up the money and getting things done, right? But I was dissatisfied with the level of professionalism with individuals that I was working with. A lot of things wasn't being done in a timely manner. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna start shooting. I started studying Sigma photography. Editing is a strenuous process. A lot of people they don't know how to do a quick turnaround. So I had to learn how to edit. So I developed myself where I can take any project from script to screen. When I'm talking
Mm.
about writing, editing, directing,
Mm.
you name it. So when you're doing movies, naturally you really can't do all of that by yourself. But
Correct.
with documentary filmmaking, I did a run, gun, and shoot. A lot of the stuff that I did was by myself. Certain things I didn't master the skill sets at that time. I would seek help, and then what I didn't know, I went to Google University and YouTube and figured it out.
Tell them again.
Yeah, Google University, YouTube, and I figured it out. And there was a couple of brothers that helped me. A brother named Deshaun, man. He used to let me sit and watch him edit, and I try to develop my style with some of the stuff that he was doing. And another brother, Amadeus Christ.
Mm.
If you look at the first, the second, and the third, you're gonna see the production value
Value go up.
increase, right? So
Yes.
by the time I got to my third documentary, I sat down with this brother. He got a film out called After Darkness, right? And this brother, his name is Amadeus Christ, and man, he really showed me how to put my foot in that editing.
Yeah.
Shout out to those two brothers, and there was a couple of other people that assist me along the way. But overall, I had to develop that skill set, and that's one thing that nobody could take away from me. And now that I got it, what I'm doing is I'm helping other individuals
Come on.
recreate the magic that I did and to tell their story.
That's big. That's so you had a vision, and then you had individuals. The creator sent those around you that would help you complete the vision, and now you passing it on. And that's something that in the game, when we talk about the game, which is that grind, that hustle, that push, most of the time as black men, we don't do. We don't. I'm not
Absolutely.
going to give you that leg up, you know. And but what drives you to sit down and say, with this, what drives you to sit down and say, you know what, I can't sit on this all on me. I got to make sure that every brother that I encounter who's trying to do what I'm doing, I can pass on some of this knowledge.
It's just a burning desire to want to see our people succeed.
Come
Anybody
on.
that know me, I'm unapologetically black. I'm B1. I'm black first. So anything that I can do, I will do all I have and all within my power to make sure that we succeed as a race of people. So for me, it's nothing. And I think that, as a race or a group of people, we have to overcome that stigma that we can't help the next man because somehow, that is going to lessen our success. And so you got to just surround yourself with like-minded individuals. And, they know me, they see me, they seen the burning desire. And they was just like, yo, bro, I like what you're doing, man. I'm going to show you what to do and just take it and run with it.
Mm.
And I'm doing the same thing, man, for a lot of young brothers and sisters out here in the community. So if you think this documentary is something, wait till you see, man, what these young brothers and these sisters got coming forward. I got some more stuff that is just mind blowing. I'm just waiting for the right time.
Look, how do I get in the class, brother?
You're already in the class.
You know,
you got personal access to me. You know, you are already embedded in the history books. You was there.
he was
You
there.
know, you
You're
was
right.
sitting there when I was doing the interview. You know, it was you that I called upon saying, listen, I need a black principal that's
Principal.
unapologetic and that's out here teaching these youth. And you said, yo, look, I got somebody. And you made the phone call. You made it happen. So
One
just how
love.
you made that phone call and you made it happen, make the phone call and call me. Same number, same rate.
Got to, cause that Google University,
Yeah.
I go to YouTube University.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely, and that's how I got this far. Now with elementary genocide, you make that statement: if we build it, they will come. So
Absolutely.
in it's so bold to know that black people are not going to go to a prison website or the company website because of how we relate to prisons. So to be so bold to put it up there, like if we build it, we could feel it. And so the science of the miseducated black man, right? Because you at first when we were looking at it, it was about the education of young brothers, and then tonight you said 800% of the female rate rose. The arrest rate of females rose at 800%.
In the last 30 years. In the last 30 years, absolutely.
Now, how how much does that coincide with? Now is it male and female still, or is it just male, or is it male and female?
No, it's male and female. But I just think that even with society and mainstream media, that the spotlight is always on the black man, and it's not frequently highlighted what our sisters is going through. And to be honest, um, as a black male, you in jail. If you have children, you know the mother is 9 times out of 10 taking care of the kids, right?
Right.
But when a female goes to jail, you know, the pain and suffering is almost tenfold. Because you know the mother is the nurturer, you know, the first provider of the family. So that's where it really hits hard at. And I don't know if many of you have been inside the prison visiting room, but it's if you ever go to a man's prison, it's at least 85% females that's coming up there to see these individuals. You go to a woman's prison and you see grandma, you see their mama, and you might see a friend or a cousin somewhere in there, and there's a whole bunch of little kids. So
Wow.
it's a remote difference, and it's systematic, and this is not something that just happened that just to be happenstance. This is planned, well executed, and I want to go back and talk about the private prison.
Let's
There
do
was a
that.
memo that came out, and it went to every state, and it's talked about in the documentary. And what this memo said is that we can run your prisons at a fraction of the cost that you already spending. So this is a business. Everybody's into saving money. So there was only one condition that these private prisons wanted, right? They said that you have to guarantee to us that there will be a 90% to 95% occupancy rate. So here it is where crime is at an all-time low, and these states are signing on to these private prisons, guaranteeing them that they can house their prisons at 90 to 95% occupancy rate. And guess what? If a state did not reach their obligation of occupying those prison cells with 90 to 95% occupancy rate, then they'll be fined. That is criminal within itself. You know, so there's a lot to this. So
Dude.
I employed everybody, man, to check out that documentary, Elementary Genocide 1, 2, and
And
3.
three. Oh, we can do
And
this
3.
throughout the whole thing. So, this is us. We ain't gotta pay no bills. So we can always
Okay.
drop every few minutes. Please grab Elementary Genocide 1, 2, and 3, Amazon. Where anything in particular?
ElementaryGenocide.com. You can get it on there. You
Boom.
can also, I got a
Oh,
I'm sorry.
it's
You know,
alright.
people, they keep calling and calling, and I need to, I should have put it, I got it on Do Not Disturb, but there's a function in your phone you have to do. I apologize,
No,
brother.
no. We we do
But
this all the
listen,
time.
yeah, you can go on. It's a sister. This is people who like to refer it to the Black Netflix. It's called
Hmm.
Quality TV. You can go on there and stream it. You can go to Gumroad and stream it, or you can go to Amazon. If that's your preferred provider for movies, and stream it. But if you want to buy the DVD, you can definitely go directly to elementarygenocide.com. We'll get it to you faster than Amazon. Or you
Mm.
can go to Amazon.com as well.
Big, 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 big. Now you made another statement, and one of the things that happened to me this year when I started doing this, when I came up with African Speaks, I was gonna come up with different topics, and a lot of black women in the shrines of the Black Madonna, you know, and one of the things they always talk to me about is making sure that they have a voice, right? Because brothers are running things, and and it's almost every organization you're gonna see a black man finally taking that head position, and so they said make sure that there's a feminine energy that comes on, and a strong representative feminine energy. And at that moment, I had a scenario, and I'm sorry to get off topic because you made this statement about what black women are going through, because we had that fatherhood conversation the other day, and I'm going to get on that. But this is also big, because one of the things as we do as black men is we don't really take the time to understand what is the true experience the black woman is having in this struggle, in this oppressive society. You know what I'm saying? While we trying to move forward to liberate towards self-determination, what real load does she have to carry? We say, oh, that's mama. And so, people talk about, why is Mother's Day is bigger than Father's Day. And so we're going to discuss the need of fatherhood, and how fatherhood stems not just from one man to another, but generations. And we're going to talk about that. But you made that statement where you go to a female's prison. In a brother's prison, most of the people visiting the brothers is the sister. But when you go to a sister's prison, the father, her children ain't showing up.
Yeah, it's grandma and big mama
Woo,
and a whole bunch of kids. Brothers ain't
woo.
going up there to see them. It's a shame.
That says a
Yeah.
lot that a
And
sister had to carry.
this is why when you talk about women having their voice and to be heard, that's why I felt it was a need for elementary genocide too. We got Queen Zaza Ali in
I
there.
saw her.
Um, we got Khadija Ali. We got Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. May she rest in peace. We got Shahrazad Ali, and we got a couple of other individuals in there. But I definitely want to give females a voice, because you never know as a man what a woman is going through.
Come on.
We can say, yes, she's suffering hardship. Yes, she's going through racism and trying to combat white supremacy. But to truly know the nature of her pain, we can't experience that. And just as she can't experience our pain, she can have an understanding of what our pain and suffering is and what it looks like. But you have to be that person. And unfortunately, we can't be that person. But together as a collective, when we speak, she speaks to our pain and suffering.
Right.
And we got to speak to her pain and suffering, because there's a quote that a sister told me. She said, the brothers is She said, well, she was talking about Marcus Garvey, right? She
Mm-hmm.
said, when Marcus Garvey came over here, you know, the brothers, he gave them their backbone. But
Mm.
when it came to the sisters had the backbone and the withal to do it. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And that's why in a lot of Pan-African movements, you know, it might not look like it, but the sisters are the engine behind running these organizations, and they're seldomly credited for it.
Mm. That's big. He gave the black man a backbone, but the sisters had the backbone and the wherefore to do it. Who else
Mm-hmm.
is going to carry it? You know?
That's right.
You know, if
It's a heavy
it,
burden to carry too.
it's serious. I had a sister tell me at one point, and I'm sorry, but she said, I've been doing things in life that my body, my spirit wasn't built for. I've been stepping up in a way to lead my children to be the head of my household the way my spirit wasn't built for. And if a man wants to come in it and he wants to be the head, I want him to give it up if you're willing to lead. The issue is are you willing to lead? Like you said, he gave the man the backbone, but the way with all to get the job done comes from the sisters. Now, if you can get the job done, come on, and I give it to you. And that's the hard road, and that's why I believe a brother can say, if we build it, they will come, because it's the target is still, you know, the black woman is going to maintain and sustain home. Even with that 800% rate going up, what we always got to keep her away from, we got to destroy that man, because
Absolutely.
that man can't come home. Come home. She can probably
And
always
that,
work with us, and because a man is going to want. My father told me like this. I don't know. Here's the transition to the father conversation. My father looked at me and said, "There's only one king in this castle, brother. So what you gonna do?" And he looked at his watch like, when you getting out to build your own kingdom. So when
yeah.
a black man comes to himself, he can't live in another man's house. You feel me? And so,
Time to go.
right. So when we talk about black male leadership, if we can keep him, if we build it, they will come, because we're gonna set documentation aside, which is going to push each state to make sure they don't get fined. So I know we driving down the highway and we see a bunch of cops, we be like, oh, quota time. It's time to fill a quota. And so that's a part of that business aspect. So we're going to sit there and say, no, the women will have the backbone. That we will have the wherewithal to keep the family together. But we never let the man come home, because even in the Pride Alliance, there's only one king. And so,
Yeah, you know, I want to say this, right, and we transition to the next topic, is that when we talk about, you know, the black man having the backbone, we got to be able to stand up straight, perpendicular on our square, and tell the truth of what is happening to us in our communities, and we got to speak unapologetically about it. But we just can't speak about it, right?
come on.
Because along with that backbone, you know, some of y'all brothers ain't got that. Y'all just using y'all jawbone, and y'all just speaking about it. Now you got to stand up with the backbone, and we know now more than ever that the black woman is the most disrespected person on the planet.
Come on.
And as black men, you know, we have to defend our black woman with the last bullet in our arsenal and the last dollar in our treasury. So with that said, man, let's transition
Wow.
and get to
That's
the
big.
next topic.
That's big. That's big. Now, we talked about yesterday in terms of fatherhood, because when we were talking about, and I called you, I said, it's been a minute that I've been wanting to have these conversations, get you up here and express the journey, speak about the numbers. And we talk about backbone, but we talked about fatherhood. And and I said, and I had somebody tell me when I said, look, I'm having Rod come on, and I showed them the documentaries and all. She said, that's a great segue to start discussing fatherhood and what fatherhood looks and feel like. And for me, and the reason why I'm gonna start it with you, because I asked another friend to do it, but I said I'm gonna start it with you is because fatherhood starts with first taking accountability of the responsibilities that the creator gave to you. And so you taking that, giving that information is a fatherhood movement. You know what I mean? The documentaries, the responsibility I'm gonna take. I'm gonna do this. I'm giving this back to my people. That's a pure king move. That's a pure fatherhood hood thing. Did you tie it up to this is a part of that fatherhood tradition? This is what a black man should be doing for his people.
Absolutely. As a black man, whether you're a father or not, you have a responsibility for your community. But when you're a father, that responsibility is more than just being an individual.
Come on.
And I think as a father, I have a son. My son is 27 years old. We have a great relationship. At times, I have to remind myself that this is my son. The way we hang out and the way we interact. And the same thing with my father. If you was in my presence, and you may probably hear a slight snippet of a conversation, and I get off the phone and be like, "Oh yeah, that was my father I was talking to." You're like, "That was your father," because the conversation is just like brothers,
Right.
and everybody that's in the presence of me and my father, the first thing they say is, "That's your twin." You know what I mean? And I see where you get it from now, because we're so much alike.
Yeah.
And I think that is embedded in my DNA, but also being in his presence so much. And the same thing with my son. Certain times, we be together, he may say something, and I'll be like, "Wow, that's something," it sounds like it came out of my mouth. And once again, I think that's because we be in each other's presence so much. And with my father, I was telling you the story, and I'll repeat it here.
Please do.
We was all hanging out. It was me, my father, and my son, and it was my son's birthday that weekend. And me and my son, we was just celebrating all over in Atlanta. And I said, "Yo, come on, we're gonna go pick up my father, right?" So we go out and we go out to eat. I told my son, I said, "Yo, you paying for this," because I pay for something, he'll pay for something, I pay for something, he'll pay for something. But I told him, I said, "Yo, you gonna pay for this. You know what I mean? You gonna pay for this whole meal. I paid for it yesterday." And then, I brought my father over there to him, and I wanted him to explain to him, what I mean, like, "Look, I'm not just leaning on you to pay. I want to show you something." So I told my father, and I was like, "I'm not telling you this to brag, but," I said, "when the last time you paid for something in my presence?" And he was like, "Probably about 10 years ago." I said, "Nah, I've been probably about more like 15, probably." I stopped counting. But I wanted to show my son that, in his older years, as he gets older, right? And I'm in a position where that man ain't got to pay for nothing. And the reason why is because he was there with me every step of the way. He was there with me in my darkest moments in life, and he always took care of me. So that's the true meaning of fatherhood. And the same way he was there for me, I'm always there for my son. You know what I mean? So I was just trying to show him by example. Like, I'm not telling you just to do this, because I'm your father. I'm telling you what I've been doing for the last 10 to 15 years. But, I'm not up in my old age yet.
Yeah.
So you ain't got to,
Right.
I'm pretty well off. So you ain't really got to spend no money on me. But when I start hitting that 65, that 70, I shouldn't be paying for nothing. That's fatherhood.
It's
You got to raise them right.
yeah. And that's what one of the things that sisters talk about. I'll share a story first because you was grateful to share mine, and then for me it wasn't even about money. It was about driving. My stepdad, you know, I got a father and a stepfather. My father left when I was 7, and he left me with a word, meaning that this your family, you need to take care of them. And because I loved them so much, I did exactly what he said. My mother took it hard because she said he was 7 years old, thinking he was a grown man. So I was never little. It was immediate. I'm taking care of my family. And so now, you know, with me being in the nation and me building on community, it's a part of who I was. I said, I thank my father for acknowledging that, look, I'm out and I ain't coming, but I need to leave her something. When I spoke to his cousin, he said, your father, I knew your father wasn't coming back. I knew I couldn't come back because your mom was kind of salty. But we had to put something in you at that moment that would keep us in that house without us physically having to be there. And it was man up now. Make sure your brothers and sisters. And my uncle taught me, well, I call him, my father's cousin, taught me how to fight in like 2 days. And I was 7. So from 7 up, you know how New York is. I got hands, you know. And he said the biggest rule is you make it home. He said, ain't no rule. Just make it home. And if you can make it home, you won the day. You may not have won the fight, but you've won the day. And then there's nobody looking in New York who can't say, y'all saw me lose one, because I didn't. But I made it home. And for the life of me, what I carried was responsibility. And even to his last breath, when I went to go back to meet him when I was 19, and I really was grateful because I said, what I have in me is not normally, we had to fight to get that level of responsibility inside my brothers. And they would look at me and said, why do you feel like you got to take over the world or carry the world? I said, wait a minute, because I realized my family was greater than just the brothers and sisters and mother that my father left me with. It was my community. And my mother, why are you fighting everybody's fight? Mom, because I'm realizing everybody my family. So I'm going to fight for everybody. And then when the consciousness set in it, it was clear. Man up. What he said, I need you to man up. And I manned up for everybody that had that melanated nature, you know. And then when my stepfather comes into the play, he was like, and I was running with a lot of people, and I had a mentor who was wanting to teach me how to drive, but my father stopped me on the shoulder and said, look, don't let nobody teach you how to drive but me. So now we love driving across country. I will never let my father drive the car. Yo, what you doing? Give me them keys. We gotta go to Florida. I got this. He said, well, you know, he trained me to drive from F to E, right?
Yeah.
So every time I get out, we don't switch cars until we get to E. So when we got to E, he waking up, he stretching, he getting ready. I looked at him and said, what you doing? Nah, I got this. You sure? You don't ever have to drive me anywhere. I got you.
Yeah.
You the royalty now. You got me here to the point where you picked up where my pops left off. I got you. There's nothing. Call me anytime you need me. You know what I mean? And it's like when you young and you driving your mama around. Yeah, ma, give me the keys. I got it. And so I took it in that nature because we don't live in the same state. But if we travel, yeah. So I got that. So I feel you. And so in that state of fatherhood, how do you pass that on to individuals who didn't have daddy there?
One of the ways you pass it on is that, you know how it says, and it's a cliche saying that it takes a village to raise a family, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you start in your village. Right. Everybody that's in your immediate community, you become that father figure by default, just by your leadership role, the way you move, the way you carry yourself. And this goes back to education. Whenever you get an education, even if it's not a black-centered education, and you go out to one of these prestigious Ivy League schools, if you're not using that education to come back and liberate your people, then that's an education that's not beneficial for you. The same way with being a black man. if you're not using your leadership skills, you're not using your talent to liberate and help your people, then by default, you on the side of the oppressor. You know, you're contributing to the demise of your people. So we all have to step up into that. I don't like the word use the word leadership, because with leadership they can be co-op. You know, with leaderships they can assassinate you, they can get rid of you, and we've seen that from time to time. So that's why
Talk
we
about it.
don't look for one leader in our community. We all have to become leaders and develop leadership within ourselves. Because remember, the choir is louder than the soloist, right? So together as one is louder than one voice speaking against for us. So to answer you, I hope I answered your question. I know I got a little long-winded,
Nah.
but the fatherhood is each and every one of us, whether biologically within our tribe, of educating the youth of today and preparing them for tomorrow. Because everything that we've been through or that we're going through, we know about it from history teaching us, and we are some of the smartest people on earth. But we have to realize that we are the holders and keepers of ourselves in predicament, and ain't nobody else is gonna come save us. We have no allies, and we are the only race of people that doesn't unify around our common cause. And what I like to tell people is that we don't have to be uniform in our opinion and our belief as long as we unified in our struggle. Our struggle should be able to bring us together. And we have to be on code. And there's only one code. And our code is the code of conduct. And until we have that, and we live by that, you know, we're not gonna be in the best position in life until we live by that. And I want to bring up something real quick.
Yeah.
I was reading earlier, right? It was talking about the White House is hosting George Floyd and their family, right?
Come on.
And a lot of people were saying that this is a good thing because this is going to help push the George Floyd bill past the Senate. And let me tell you something. This will be, I think it's a year anniversary.
Yeah.
And black people been seeking justice for over 400 years and we ain't getting nothing. So this right here is a photo op for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This is not nothing that's going to liberate us as a people. Within 60 days of the pandemic, they was talking about signing the Asian hate bill. And that happened with them, right? They didn't have to do a photo op in the White House and visit the White House to get a bill passed. So I just want everybody to know, when it comes to us, we all we got. Because you can't look to none of these politicians or elected officials as your savior, and that's going to liberate us as a people. We got to do it ourselves.
That's big. That's big. One of the things, and that's real in that, because I wanted to go back to a couple of things, but you're right about that. You know, what is the purpose? 400 years of injustice, 400 years of seeking to be respected just because of our humanity, 400 years of struggle to be seen as children of the Most High, or the Creator. 400 years. So what makes you think that a particular governmental regime is going to change 400 years? And it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. So after 400 years, the only solution we have is to continue to build for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's building, and we talk about it when we talk about it in the shrine, a nation within a nation. We have to be self-determined in every aspect of our life, period. There's nothing we can leave open for conversation where we have to give it up to another group to give us. You know what I'm saying? And that's real.
We gotta have our essentials, which is food,
clothes, and shelter. That's it.
We should never rely on them. Even with the situation with the gas, that should
Say
have
it.
been a wake up call to individuals that, you know, there is, just imagine, a sinister plan to stop just the gas from coming into your community. How are you going to be prepared for that?
Mm.
You know, if you can't make it to work at a 9 to 5, how are you going to sustain and feed your family?
With no
I
gas.
hope you got some crops in the backyard growing,
Come on.
right?
Come on.
Because the delivery trucks is not delivering to the grocery store. So there goes your chicken wing and
Right.
and your pig. You gotta learn how to eat vegetables and be a vegan.
Right.
You know, what's going on with the water supply?
Mm.
How are we getting water into our community? Who knows how to what they call it, the
Irrigation.
irrigation, right? That's the
Right.
word, the irrigation.
Mm-hmm.
How to build the irrigation system, how to collect rainwater. So these are the things that we have to prepare ourselves for. We go through life and we concentrate and we focus on everything else. And I'm speaking to my people, and I'm saying this with love, right? White people, they prepare 10 and 20 years in advance. We prepare for Friday night of what we're going to wear to the club or where
Mm.
we're going to go hang out at. We got to get more serious in this because we're living in a serious time. These are the last days in time, believe it or not. And if
Mm.
you don't want to believe that, you can take it even further. It might not be the last days in time for humanity, but if you my age, these are the last days in time.
Come
Because
on.
guess what? I got more days behind me than I probably got in
Like, get
front of
ahead
me.
of me. Right.
Because I'm at that age.
Right. Right.
I'm at that age. You
Right.
know, um, to double my age right now, the average man don't live that long. So, like I said, without telling you my age, I got
Right.
more days behind me than I probably got ahead of me. But that's a good thing because no matter how life reacts or what happens in life, I can say that um, I was a service to my people.
Come on. Say
And
it.
that's all that counts. At the
Let's
end of
say
the
it.
day, I was a service to my people.
That's
And we all got to ask ourselves, when it's all said and done, what's your legacy going to be?
mm.
If it was done today or tomorrow, the legacy will be
Mm.
my documentaries, the books, the people I inspired, those that I touch and I breathe life into. But it ain't
That's
over for me. So I got some more giving to do.
it's funny as you talk about legacy. I don't know if you can see it behind me. When I did that Africa and I had the lion, and I posted, I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm done with allowing the world to control my movement. Like you said, white folks plan 10 years ahead, 10, 20 years a year ahead. I knew that when I found out about Bill Gates got Windows, when he had Windows 95, Windows 98 was already done. When he had Windows 98, when he has the next 10 years of technology and he will financially pay to shut anybody down that is going to disrupt the flow of technology that he wants to release in the next 10 to 20 years. Even it was one
Mm-hmm.
scenario where he went up against Ted Turner. Ted Turner had some technology that was going to usurp Windows. It was going to shut people needing to have a PC completely down. And
Mm-hmm.
Bill and them had a conversation, said, you can't release that now. And Turner was like, you don't tell me what to do. And he was like, no, 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 no. You're going to change the plight of money that can be made if you release this technology now. And of course, Ted Turner wanted to be one of those. He is a big one, big blue money,
Mm-hmm.
but he wanted to come before that. Man, Bill purchased all the software he needed to run the technology and shut it all down. So you're not going to stop the flow of my economics because I'm about to be one of the richest men in America. And you're not putting out nothing that's going to offset the sale of a PC. You're just not going to do it. And
You
like you
know who's
said,
another one that
go ahead.
you know who's another one that we need to watch? Elon Musk
Must.
and
Ooh.
SpaceX.
Yes.
and building this rocket that can get you to the
To the
moon
moon.
in a limit of no time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because just think about this, right? We dealing with a colonizer, right?
Mm.
And they already colonized the Earth. And if he built a rocket ship that can make it to the moon in a no limit of time, who you think is going to be up there? Who you think is going to be setting up shop up there? Just imagine, them having Wi-Fi and they can run the world from up on the moon that you can't even get to
Mm.
because they have and master the technology to get up there. They can build life as you know it here on Earth on a whole nother
Planet.
on a whole nother level,
Yeah.
whole nother planet on the moon, and still control you from outer space. We dealing with a wicked devil, my people. Y'all better read, y'all better learn, and y'all better
Say
master
it.
this technology and know what's going on and know what time that we living in.
Yeah. Now I can
Brother,
talk.
you got another one of those clips you gonna pay?
I couldn't. Let me see if I could pull that one up. I had one.
Oh
Yeah.
no, if you ain't got it, it's cool. It's
No, no,
cool.
no,
It's
no, no.
cool.
Wait.
They just
Cause
gotta go online.
I was no, cause I was gonna know, cause I was gonna show the the other movie the next time, because I said we got to come back and talk about the third one. I was like, whoa! I saw that third one and it literally blew my mind. But I can.
Yeah.
No,
Third one is crazy.
Yeah, I got it. Give me a minute. Let me set this up for you. You know this. There we go. All right, I'm gonna set it up for you, and we're gonna drop it for the people. Let's see.
All right, after this go off, right, we can do probably about 10 more minutes, and then I gotta jump offline.
You got it.
I've been running, ripping and running all day.
Oh, trust me, I understand. Here we go.
Award-winning documentary series, Elementary Genocide 1 and 2, comes the third and last installment, Elementary Genocide 3, Academic Holocaust. From kindergarten, everything is designed in the curriculum to murder your psychic abilities, to murder your intellectual possibilities, to murder your creative possibilities, because that is the way the curriculum is designed, to keep Africans from developing the capacity to recreate themselves in their communities, in their families, in their institutions by their own hand.
Let us remember that the pistol grip of today was that slave grip of yesterday. Let us remember that the handcuffs of today, keep them out, were the ropes and the shackles of yesterday. Yet that those slave masters of yesterday have become the judges and the prosecutors and the police departments of today.
There are just some things that are not comfortable for white people. They're not comfortable for them to talk about the possibility that Africans were here before the Europeans.
Contributions of African people, not just in America, but African people worldwide, is not incorporated into the curriculum.
One of the ways that you keep a people oppressed is to not show them their true history. Because if I can make you feel inferior, I can control anything that you do.
Black people have bought into white supremacy and they don't know it. It's like instead of fighting the picture of white supremacy or the picture that white supremacy painted of black people, we've accepted it.
The oppressor knows that if they put our contributions into the curriculum, if they put our children into the curriculum, put them into the picture, put them into the frame, then we'll tear this thing out the frame.
So we as a community have to take hold of the educational process of our children, and we have to begin to take our children down that road of ma'at, truth and justice and righteousness, in order to educate them in a way that they will become productive citizens, not only of the country, but of the world.
Well, African liberation has a lot of dimensions. You know, we're talking about one, African peoples all over the world, most of whom are not free to self-determine their lives and their future. Freeing the lands of Africa, freeing the nation states of Africa, so that they can self-determine and develop their own industry and their own culture and their own way of life, with an economic system that can support them by utilizing the wealth in the ground that is theirs.
Most of the education that we're getting now, either on the elementary level, junior high, high school, all of the educational systems that we don't own all of those denigrate all of the accomplishments of African Americans.
Brother.
Yeah, that was deep.
Brother.
I'm sitting here like, wow.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Because, you know, I haven't watched it in a while. So I'm like, okay.
Academic Holocaust. What?
Mm-hmm.
Academic Holocaust. They are murdering us through the lack of education. Not even the fact that when we talk about being undereducated, it's what they're telling us that's all helping to kill us. This academic holocaust where we, even after 12 years of education, walk out brain dead to who we are as a people, our importance to the Creator, our contributions to this earth, and what we've done for and with the development of humanity. Academic holocaust, brother. That's some power. Woo. Woo. That's why I said.
And you know what? I had a title, right? I told everybody that I wasn't doing a part 4, right? But I had a title for it, right? I said Elementary Genocide Part 4. What was the title again? Hold on. I'm gonna tell you right now. Go ahead,
dude. Because when I saw that, I sat down and said to myself, I said, "Yo, we got to come back, and I need to pick that one completely apart. I'm a right man. I got to go. Woo! I'm gonna pull that one down because, in terms of how it's being used, because they talk about the miseducation of a Negro." They're miseducating you for a purpose. Because if you had a clue of who you are and what you could do, like you said, they're keeping you from that spiritual self in which you are, because you could rise above all of this once you not just know who you are, but you internalize it. When you can internalize who you were created and called to be. Because a lot of us know it. Like you said, you know, we got that jaw action. That backbone is one thing, but a lot of people running that jaw action. But just because we know that information don't mean we're going to do anything about it. But the moment that it's internalized, it creates a different being in terms of knowing who you are, what you gave to this community, and what the Creator expects from you. It creates a different being. Our melanin begins to vibrate on a whole different level where we achieving things way beyond the concept of what we thought we could do. But go ahead, you got that name.
You know what? I just found it, right? It's called Elementary Genocide Part 4, Weapons of Mass Instructions, right? And yo, let me tell you something. I had wrote down like just the synopsis of it and just doing like what this chapter would entail, and the last chapter was going to be on, you know, it was going to coincide with COVID and the health disparities in our community. It was just something I was just thinking about, you know, one day. But like I said, right, I told people, right, I didn't put this out to monetize.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Naturally, you know, I want to make money off of it. I did make money off of it. I should have made money off of it because, you know, I put up tens of thousands of dollars of my own money.
Right.
You know, and that's how much faith I had in my people. I knew that if I bring this truth forward to my people, they're going to support it. They're going to buy it. And,
exactly.
You know, but my thing is this, right? There is a such thing as an overkill of information, right? Because when you have the information, you have to react on the information. So if I'm telling you that homeschooling, those that are homeschooled have a higher academic achievement rate, and that there's 0% of school to prison pipeline, then that's the solution.
Well,
if you're in that position, you have to homeschool. So that's just one thing, right? So if we giving out like the last 10 to 15 minutes of each documentary is giving out solutions to the problem, right? If you didn't get it in 1, you didn't get it in 2, you didn't get it in 3, then you ain't gonna get it in 4. The only thing you're gonna get is a documentary, and I'm gonna get your money for producing it. And that's what I'm not into.
Wow.
You know, I got other subject matters that I want to do. I got other initiatives that I want to start and help people cultivate their skills and develop, their talent in. And one of them is documentary filmmaking. I'm gonna be doing workshops around the country and showing the black youth how to document their lives, how to document our history. Because we got to do that.
Powerful.
We
We
got
got
to
to
do
be able
that.
to tell
So, brother,
our story our way. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, brother, I'm gonna take one more question, man, and then we could just shut it down until the next time when great minds, meet once again.
Well,
The meeting of the minds.
in that space when you with the last statement that you said where I gave the information for people to respond. Have you seen any response in reference to community growth? And could you give them that? Because we know what we're fighting against, but talk about some of the answers you've seen people respond and how you change people's lives with it. Let's share that part.
Absolutely. I done had sisters ask if they could interview me. One sister just recently. I done had at least 10 people use that documentary as a term paper, writing their term paper. I had one sister that came up to me and she said her son is now entering college. And she said that when she first saw the documentary, the first thing she did was pull him out of the public school system, and she homeschooled him until she was sufficient with his learning ability, and then she put him in an Afrocentric school, and he's now going off to college. And she brought him by the screening. She said, this is his last day in Atlanta. Tomorrow is Monday, and he'd be on that flight going to college. And she said, I just want to thank you because it was your documentary that put me on that path. And there's so many other stories, that come to mind when we talk about our community responding and pushing back against these draconian laws that seek to imprison our youth. So yeah, there's so many testimonials. I got actually like a PDF, and I'll probably put it on my website. We're still putting it all together, and it's just people thanking me, giving me testimonials of how this documentary was impactful to them. So yeah, our people is responding, and see, these are the people that are brave enough to allow me to know, how things have went for them. And I'm sure there's hundreds and thousands of people that benefit from it that I haven't heard from as of yet.
That's one thing that we all always want to hear about. And so I want to thank you. I want to tell you how much I appreciate your drive. I appreciate that level of commitment. I'll get emotional because I appreciate your default fatherhood, man. You made that statement and said, black men are fatherhood by default. It's not something that you crafted into. If you a male, accept it and take responsibility. And I appreciate the fact that you took your fatherhood to not just your son, but it became, like you said yesterday, or was it Sunday or Saturday or Friday, one of them days when we were talking, it's a system of generational transition from your father to you to your son. Fatherhood is not just what one man does, but it was a group of what black men do. And dude, as we enter into the mother fatherhood, sisters, if y'all can't celebrate fatherhood, you got a black man right here who poured it out. If you ain't got nobody to celebrate, hit him up, get a documentary, say thank you, because his fatherhood is global. On that note, one love, my man. One love.
Peace and Black Power family. Make sure y'all go check me out. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Rahiem Shabazz. Salute, King.
Salute, King. One love. Now I got to definitely tell y'all. Woo. Powerful. And we've been knowing each other for some years. And we met each other on that grind, that money grind. And then when I pulled back and I said to myself, I got to do what God has called me to do rather than chasing these dollars. I got to go back to my community. I got to give to the programs. I got to continue focus on leadership. I had to, like he said, default into my fatherhood. Defaulted to the responsibility of black people where I'm moving my community forward. Now this brother, every piece of the when I walked into the Shrines of the Black Madonna bookstore and I saw the documentaries, and each time they came out, they were in the bookstore and they were getting out there. And I was like, wow, I got to reconnect. Because when we met again. We was chasing that dollar. And every time I could get a chance, I said, I'm trying to help his skills get paid for the skills, because he's great at what he does. If you see what he does it from beginning to end. So if I could say I had an unconscious mentor that can take something from beginning to end and own it, that's the African in him speaking. There's nothing that we cannot do when we surrender to the gifts and the greatness that the Creator put in us. He defaulted into his fatherhood. Woo! Every black man should default into their fatherhood. Every sister defaults into their motherhood. It's what they do. Maybe you might have one or two that had an experience, but you default into it because it's in your DNA. And he said that. It's in my DNA. It's, something, this is a part of who I am. Man, elementary genocide. Woo, powerful. So y'all make sure that y'all go to elementarygenocide.com and get those DVDs. Get them. Let your kids watch them. Let your friends watch them. You give it away for Father's Day. If there's a man in your life that you wish was more active in your child's life, get him Elementary Genocide for Father's Day. Have it wrapped up, looking pretty, and say, I love you and I need you to default into your fatherhood. Woo! And let him see what the world is doing to him and his son and his children. Man, please, that boy just woke me up and said in the last 30 years, the black woman incarceration elevated to 800%. Man, they really trying to wipe us off the face of this planet. So we need to allow the African in us to speak. And with that, I say, one love.